Welcome everybody to this event organized by Frank. Thank you, Frank, for doing this. I have around 15 minutes to talk about the classes Business 491 CS that Frank teaches too, which is consulting to small businesses that we have had for 2 semesters, fall 22 and spring 2003. So I will present to you a list of the clients, then some issues and the project purposes. What are the goals of the different projects, and then the skills that are activated, then some challenges, and how the students see the consulting project. So it's also the way they perceive it and work on it. So we had this list of consulting project and clients. As you can see, curiously, there were a lot of them in the healthcare industry. We had a mental health hookup, which is a therapy company owned by a person who is the owner, and she has, roughly an employee or half an employee, depending on the time. We had another therapy company, which was called Joyful Therapy Group, where the owner, the client, contacted us, and she has around 6 or 8 therapists as her employees working to deliver therapy to people with mental disease. We have Jazz Hands for Autism, which is a nonprofit, and this organization is helping people with autism to find a job in the entertainment industry, and especially the music industry. So they're delivering education, training, placement, job placement for them, right? And we are Calmado. I put this in the healthcare because it's a company which sells candles. So why candles in the healthcare industry? Because these candles have a healing effect on the people who breathe it or smell it, right? And it's an interesting company. It's a company we just started, and the owner is selling a lot of these candles at a very high price. Now, second industry is entertainment culture. Here we have Quick Culture, which is a company organizing tours in museums and events. They have 2 employees. The company has 2 employees. Flix House is a company which is delivering streams of movies on its platform. And there is 1 employee. Well, there's the owner, and he wanted to develop the company. Senior Resident Activities is relatively original company because it is a person who is a coordinator for a building, for 2 buildings where senior residents live. And this person organizes activities, recreational, entertainment, educational activities for these seniors who are most of them more than 70 years old. So they are, some of them do not have family, they need help. And the budget was cut completely, divided by 10. So the problem became, how can we make these activity sustainable? The Holland Market Flour is a company which is a wholesaler in the flour market. I didn't know it existed, but it's the company which supplies your retailers, right? And the consulting project valuation, last one, is an original thing. It is an internal project where we try to understand what was the quality of the projects delivered and how satisfied with the client. It was, in fact, an evaluation of our projects, of consulting projects. So, in the issues, of course, each company, each organization has different issues. But as you can see, the big elephant in the room is development. These organizations want to develop their sales, activity, program, traffic for nonprofit, profit, number of employees. They want to grow. and they have like peripheral issues that are connected to the issues of development, like the management of resources, the succession, because some of these organizations are run by people who are in their 70s and they are thinking about retiring, so they must have someone to continue. Marketing, of course, very important. Marketing is something that is always present in these projects, because these small organizations do not know how to reach out to the market. So they need the students to help them. And then financial resources, especially for one of the consulting project, and the evaluation of consulting project as well. The more interesting are the resources, the skills that the students need. And number one is really analytical skills, the ability to do a diagnosis of the situation. That's the most difficult that students have to do. But then, because it is about the development of organization, then they have strategic management as a discipline, and to understand what are the possible modes of development of an organization. Marketing comes very close to this too, very important, because they need to understand what is the connection of marketing and strategy. So the positioning of marketing is connected with strategy. If you want to have a low cost strategy or a differentiation strategy, for those who know a little bit in strategy, then your marketing will not be the same. You're not going to distribute in the same outlets. You're not going to have the same value to the brand. You're not going to have the same pricing in the same place, right? The 4 P's of marketing. For some, there is also HRM knowledge about hiring employee, developing employee, training them, and motivating them. Organizational structure is also something which is useful in organizing a way, in determining how an organization is going to be structured. Succession, we're not used to this, but succession, you need some HR element. You need also some psychological element to understand what the owner wants. What is the profile of the individual that he wants or she wants to succeed, right? To succeed and succeed to be or her, to him or her. Financial resources, and this, I put this creativity here, but creativity is really across the board. It's that skill that is difficult for students to acquire. Not knowing the answer to a question and not knowing how to find the answer to a question. So you want to develop a company. What are the ways of development? You have to create them. You have to think out of the box to create possible ways. So you have tools in strategic management that helps you, given you dimensions along which you can see the development. Theory of evaluation and data collection and processing are important, but also you have to do these skills for all the different aspects, because student teams must collect information, must process information through primary research or secondary research. I try to give you a kind of synoptic view of the skills that are necessary, and I give 1 cross to 2 to 3 pluses, the more pluses, the more, of course, right? So you see strategy, marketing are very high, but also creativity, innovation, and data collection, of course, and evaluation. So we need all these skills for this project. So some of the challenges that the students are facing, and the other actors of the project as well. First, the client's responsiveness and information communication. Believe it or not, clients call us and then sometimes do not give us information or are not available, which is weird. Say, why, right? They have their own busy schedule, and they are sometimes reluctant to give information because they consider it confidential, or sometimes they don't have time and they are not available for meeting either. More generally, there is an ability to listen and to cooperate with the team, and some clients in this matter are more difficult than others. So when you would select a project, there is a list of criteria that we must respect. And it's not always easy because it's difficult to find clients. It's not that easy. Surprisingly not easy because it's free, right? But clients are not always jumping to us, right? To be in our projects. The team has always a tendency to jump to conclusion and not spending enough time to analyze the project, to understand what the project is about, and to see all the different aspects and dimensions of a project. I've developed tools to that, to help the team to do that. It's difficult for the team to conceptualize and understand the project. So at the beginning, it's the most difficult, right? The first 2 or 3 weeks are the most difficult because they have to understand it. Using creativity methods is also very difficult, and some projects absolutely require it. And they have to learn that. How can they be creative and think out of the box and invent things that do not exist? I have noticed, number 7, that the students are generally tired after they have used the first wave of research. They launch a first wave of research, being by survey, interviews, focus groups, and then they're exhausted, right? And they say, wow, now we have done this. I don't have the courage to to do another one. The perception, the paradigm of education that we are in all our classes is what I called passive stance, because we are just listening, and the students are asked to regurgitate the knowledge that they have acquired. That's the model. In our classes, it's not this model. It's an active problem-solving, critical thinking frame where you have to self-guide to know what you have to do, and you have to understand where you are and what you have to do, which is not easy, and students are not used to it. So making them overcome what they have done for decades, what they have done for years and years and years is not easy. Sometimes teams have internal issues. They have conflict, right? It happens. They have the leadership issue. Who is the leader? 1, 2, 3, do they rotate? Right? Time management is also always an issue, because I tell them at the beginning, you think you have time, but you're wrong. You will be rushed at the end, I guarantee you. And inevitably, they are rushing at the end. The team management and the relationship with the client is also not easy, because the team is generally afraid of the client, right? And they must consider him as a friend, as a partner, someone who works with them, right? And for the advisor now, Frank and I and others, the dilemma is always too much support or too much autonomy. How do you help the team in this trade-off, right? So I want to finish with a slide where I try to illustrate the consulting project from the student standpoint, the different stages, which are pretty classic. First, it's understanding the issue, but deeply, not just, the client wants to develop the company. Okay, well, all right, that's right. But it's vague. What does that mean? Why? What is the long-term goal of the client? What is the context? There are a lot of things that must be added to this simple question. All these elements, putting together, articulated, give a birth to the team roadmap, which is a document that shows in an articulated and structured way what are the different stages, what is the goal, what is the purpose, what are the deliverables, and what is the methodology that the team will follow to deliver the deliverables and to solve the fundamental issue of the client. The implementation of the roadmap takes 2 or 3 months. It is the bulk of the project, where the students collect information from various sources. They compare, they make decisions, They analyze, they extract conclusion, they extract finding, they extract recommendations, and then they discuss with their partners, the client, of course, and the advisor. Then the time arrives, and my phone just wrong because I was just 15 minutes. So it's finished in 30 seconds. The recommendation to the client must be designed in a way that are operationable, that are doable, feasible for the client. So they must be justified, they must be ranked, they must be prioritized, and they must be integrated into time with a plan of action, because the client needs to know what to do next month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, over, whatever time is needed to implement the recommendations. And of course, you have the communication to the client, the report. We have a final presentation, but also what's going on post-presentation, additional explanation, contact with the client, evaluation of the project quality, and preparation of the next consulting assignment. Sometimes the client is coming the next semester. Yeah. And with this, I want to thank you, and I've finished my presentation. I hope it was useful and that you get some good ideas from these different elements. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
This is it's brilliant.
Thank you.
Yes, brilliant, because it's funny. It's makes me feel like, when sometimes I spoke to some veterans, military veterans, and then they tell me it's not the same when they speak to non-veterans versus when they speak to veterans. They don't really have the same level of understanding. So I'm absolutely rejoiced hearing you, because I understand every word, every message that you're sending in here. It's very, very important. And it's not just about teaching to the students, it's also managing the project and managing the client and managing the students with the clients. These are the type of little issues that you don't get with the simulation, because you don't have the human factor. But when you think about it, with the world, the way the world is going with AI and so forth, what's going to make the big difference between working strictly with AI or working with people is the nuances that you can get from people to people, versus the AI doesn't give you those nuances. The AI may have the highest IQ, but it doesn't have the EQ, the emotional coefficient of intelligence that is required for managing those projects. So we see a lot of these going on. And so we have to deal with all of this. And that's why I find it very interesting, because it's always somewhat different. But every steps that you've mentioned are the steps that we can always expect. Teresa, are you able to share the?
I need to be made co-host.
Oh, you're not co-host yet?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Sorry about this. I thought I had everyone already co-host, so you should be good. So this was a very big message, that may not be so much understood by the students, but it's very important for the faculty or anyone teaching. I think it makes a big difference. And so it is very true that finding clients is not as easy as well, because the clients, there's many different kind of clients. But most of the clients that we deal with are people that don't have much experience themselves getting consulting. So they don't really know what they're getting. And oftentimes they think that the benefit is mostly for us, when in fact, I would say a big chunk of the benefit is for them. These consulting are things that, it's a little bit like someone that never goes to the dentist. If they've never been to the dentist, they don't really know what's the benefit of having a free dental review. But with the people who go to the dentist, or the people who go to lawyers and they spend a lot of money, then when they hear it's free or it's not as expensive as it usually is, oftentimes they are worried. And that's oftentimes a big problem when working with large corporations, because large corporations are very skeptical of working with students, because they are used to spend millions of dollars for consulting. So they have little expectation that they can get anything amazing from a group of students under the supervision of a professor. So I have experienced this. Next slide. So the next slide is going to show you the agenda. And so I've asked Teresa to help me with this because I had the wrong idea last night, I guess, to upgrade the system in my computer. And this morning I was doing Zoom and it's working very well, but for some reason the sharing doesn't work. So thank you, Teresa, for jumping in and taking this role. So today we've already heard Professor Degravel. I will say a few things, and then we will have the Vice President of the Southern District, Stephen Contreras, coming. And then we will proceed in what is called the Fast Pitch Investor Competition, which this year is the 16th year. And so we have 3 people competing in these, and we'll have 2 sessions. One is a 60-second fast pitch. It's also called an elevator pitch. And then we'll have a 5 minutes presentation, which is more elaborate. For me, today is a very exciting day because I've actually started working with these students since October. I originally started working with them, and Teresa, you can go to the next slide. I started with them under the collaboration that I had with the Sustainability Center and Professor Zapia and James Saria and Lauren Augusta, who was the people in charge of MESA. So I know many of the MESA people have joined us today. And so this has been a great collaboration because I haven't had the opportunity to work with farmer students and agricultural students in the past. And this has been amazing because they have a very practical view of business. And it was interesting to collaborate between their very practical view of business and I giving them some very frame guidance and asking them to stay within the frame guidance. So it has been very enriching for me to work with them. So 3 students will be participating today. We have Cristina Leon, who is right now in Temecula. And so she will be presenting her enterprise and presenting it from a fast pitch perspective. And then we have Carly Rose Goldstadt, who is in Maui, Hawaii right now. And so she will also present her farming agricultural startup. And finally, we have Teresa Glazatov, who is in San Bernardino. And she has been working on this for a while. And all of these projects are very inspiring. These 3 students have been beyond amazing to work with. 2 of them have a PhD degree, and one has a bachelor in politics, but they will present themselves so you learn more about who they are. So they've been very motivated. They have an amazing sense of humor because I kept asking them to do more and more and more. And they're very ambitious and motivated. So it's been an absolute pleasure to work with them. And you can go to the next slide. So because we have 3 ladies, I was thinking of doing something a little different. You've all heard of the program on TV called Shark Tank, which is obviously has inspired a lot of organizations to start doing their investor pitch. Just so you know, when I took over the Wells Fargo Center, I was looking for clients, I was working for clients, but for the annual event, I wanted to do something a little different, which back then in 2007 was not popular. I wanted to do an investor pitch. And the reason I was telling the students that this was important is because you oftentimes, when you start a business, don't have the money in order to have this business go to be implemented. So you look for money. And I couldn't see any of these classes or any of these experience on campus. So I decided to do the Wells Fargo Center annual event for Fast Pitch, which is now one of the oldest in California after 16 years. So we try to keep the flame going. But this year is very special because we have 3 women and they are in agriculture. And also what's interesting is the fact that there's another sort of Shark Tank, which you may not have heard, which is called the Dolphin Tank. So the Dolphin Tank is sort of the Shark Tank, but for women only. So I'm in contact right now with the Dolphin Tank because I wanted these ladies to prepare themselves as if they were going to go to the Dolphin Tank afterwards. So there's the possibility that they may go to the Dolphin Tank afterwards. And that's something that we are looking at. So when you look at women, you'll see that in fact 3% of the VC funding goes to business funded by women on average. It's a really small number. That's not right. 40% of the US businesses are women owned. So why only 3% of the VC funding goes to women? 64% of the new women owned business were started by women of color. So there's a large number of women of color in the recent years that have started businesses. And Black women founders receive only less than 0.27% of all the VC funding. So 64% of the women are starting businesses in 2022 in America. And how many are getting VC funding? We're talking 3 times less than 1%. So it's extremely small. So it's very interesting to see all of these gaps and what can we do? And so the Wells Fargo Center, like the university, is very interested in the diversity, the inclusion, and the equity, and trying to make a difference. And so we're looking at this, and we're encouraging people to look for funding, whoever they are. And now we have 3 women, and this is great that we are able to help them. Female entrepreneur ask for roughly $35,000 less in business financing than men. That's also something that should be changed. Private tech companies led by women achieve 35 higher percentage of return on investment. So that's also an interesting thing, is how come women are making more profit than men when in fact they are running private tech company. So all kinds of interesting differences that I found. I didn't tell any of the ladies who are participating today about this, but I wanted everyone to hear it, to see how important and how much impact you can make. I think we can make impacts, and everybody should be making impacts. The next slide. Because before we go further, there's 1 minute of silence that I would like to take for my friend, Professor Natale Zappia. Professor Natale Zappia, you may have heard about him, mostly if you're from Mesa. He's a very good friend of all of us. He's impacted so many people on campus. He's impacted me positively. And this morning I was talking to Professor Tracy Tung, who is a professor of fashion management, and she was also telling me that she was impacted by him. In fact, he's pretty much gave her inspiration for the direction of her career, and in many ways he's done this to me as well. So Professor Zappia was a professor of history, but he was very entrepreneurial, extremely entrepreneurial, and he was starting so many things on campus, and he was a director of the Institute for Sustainability. He was very involved in farming. He was very involved with the native Indian Americans as well. He was the sweetest, nicest, smartest, the best wit. And unfortunately, he passed away last Thursday. As far as I know, he was starting to be sick last January, and I thought he was doing better, but unfortunately, I lost one of my best friends on campus, I can say this. So we'll miss you. It's going to be hard to keep doing these amazing projects. I've done 4 or 5 different projects with him in the past 5 years. During the COVID, we were meeting every 3 or 4 days through Zoom. I was meeting with Natalie, and we were talking about the different things we were doing. So really, if you know Nate, you know that you probably have an amazing experience as much as I had. Anyone want to say anything? I'm just giving this opportunity. If you knew him and you want to say something, please jump in.
Franck,
Yes.
I would just like to say that Nat will really be missed, because he was an amazing, amazing player in the game of life, and he touched a lot of people, and I really appreciate that. And I treasure all the time I got to work with him.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as far as I know, he was sick, so I kept him in the loop about the Wells Fargo Center event. So when I had a reminder on Thursday, I sent thousands of emails on Thursday reminding everyone. He was in the email, and when yesterday I sent the reminder, I felt horrible removing his name from the email list. You know, these are very hard things in life suddenly that happens. It's like, how can your life just stop like this? And so he was supposed to be here today. He was supposed to be celebrating. He's the one that connected me with the 3 farming students that you will see present. So all of this was inspired by him about a year ago, because he came to this event and he says, hey, why don't you do it with farming students? I'll hook you up with Mesa and we'll do it together and so forth. So I can't believe that the inspiration for today's students and presentation was started by Nate, and he just passed away just a few days ago. So an amazing professor at CSUN, and I'm really sorry to see him go. So if you don't mind, we'll give him a 1 minute of a prayer to just do in his memory today, because we've got to do this to the people that we care. Well, you may know my family makes cognac, and Nate was Italian, and so he made fun of my cognac, saying that grappa was better. And unfortunately, I never had the opportunity to drink my family's cognac with him to prove him that cognac is much better than grappa. But you know, maybe in some other time we'll catch up with Nate. That's for sure. All right, the next slide, please. So what do the center do? Well, we look for clients, we collect clients, and then we share these clients with the faculty who are interested to work on clients. We have different kind of clients. Some are large companies, some are international, some are local, some are minority owned, some have few employees, some are startups. The startups are much harder to work on, oftentimes because we have less information and there's less guidance. The students are oftentimes not very experienced, so the less information and background they have, the harder it is for them to work on it. We try to be realistic. We try to offer real solutions for the clients, for them to be able to use it. And like I mentioned before, a lot of clients don't have experience getting consulting, and therefore it is difficult for them to understand what they are getting. And almost always, when they get the feedback from the students and the presentation and the reports from the students, they are blown away. Everything is customized, everything is made exactly for the client. And so so it's very important for us to do a good job, because we want a positive word of mouth coming back to the center. Next slide. So in the next slide, you will see that here I have a lot of details. I'm not going to go through the details, but I just have in red the key subjects, components that we provide. So a lot of the work, and you've heard this already from Professor Degravel, there's a lot of strategy being discussed. Oftentimes it has to do with sales. I would say most of the project is how can I sell more? You know, so when you talk about sales, you talk about management, you talk about marketing, but you also talk about the various elements to make the business more efficient by looking at the processes and management, and then looking at financing. And so that was the impetus for coming up with the investor pitch that you will see today. Is how do you get money, and where do you get money, and how do you present something in order to get money? So it is very important for students to learn to do this. And I know there's one class that is being proposed as a new class at the Nazarian College, which is actually going to be working on the investor pitch deck. And I know it's in the work. But there's a lot of issues that are related to the HR, and also issues related to IT. And all of this always culminate to how much money do you need, and how much money you're going to go and share. Are you talking about royalty? Are you talking about equities? So for the students, this is always an exciting class to work with a real client, because they can see that they're learning something that they can use. They can see that it's as a value for someone. They can see that they're learning something that they could use in many different situations. So that's very good for the students to see that. Next slide, please. So I always bring this one in the past few years, because this came to me as a surprise, but it's very common. I always say to the students, you can take a horse to the river, but you can't make the horse drink. And it's a little bit the same for when you are a consultant, is you can give the best advice to the client, but the clients always decide what they want to do, if they want to follow the advices. It's a little bit what you hear from a doctor. I mean, the doctors may say to everyone, stop smoking and drinking, eating fatty food, and start running and exercise. And that's what they say to every one of the patient, but very few people actually do that. But the doctor cannot stop saying that, because the doctor has to keep saying this. So when you're a consultant and when you teach the students how to be a consultant, we see a lot of repetition for us. And so this was a client which we gave some recommendation, and eventually the report and the recommendation went into a drawer and stayed dormant for a few years. And then the client eventually was pretty much going bankrupt. And the client started to implement the recommendation that the students had gave this client. And then in a matter of a few years, the client started making tens of millions of dollars. Eventually, he reached $32 million revenue. And he came on campus to explain that the number one and only reason why he was successful is because he followed the students' advices, which I think was very nice. I don't think that was the only reason, but he said that that was the impetus, that was the start for it. So we not only helping clients to do better, but to some extent, sometimes at that time he was making $300,000. So he went from $300,000 to $32 million. I mean, that's a big impact. And we always want to tell anyone that this can happen, and it doesn't happen to every one of our clients, but it happens to the clients to actually take it seriously and try to implement it. That is very important. We don't do the implementation, we only make the recommendation, and then the clients will do the implementation. Next slide, please. So our clients, as I said, might be startups. They also non-profit organizations. So we don't just do for-profit organization. We work with smaller businesses, family businesses. We also work with international businesses. We work with all kinds of businesses. They don't have to be tech businesses. They can be pure engineering, services, farming businesses, and so forth. Large corporations, small corporation. It is very important. Next slide, please. And so this is a summary. I'm not going to mention all of these. You've already seen the clients from Professor Degravel, but it's just to give you a little feedback on the project that we've done. We've done about, I think there's 33, 34 projects. So this was a good year, and thinking like a farmer, I would say this was a good harvest. That's a lot of projects, a lot of professors got involved. There's a number of professors that were new at doing this. Thinking specifically about Professor Nora Moran, who started working on client projects, and I know she, that was new for her, and now she's doing it pretty much for every one of our classes. So that's exciting to see a new professor joining in to do a project. But we also have Professor Kisor that did quite a large numbers, and then another new professor that started this semester, spring 2023, is Professor Smith, who took quite a large number of projects as well. So we have more and more professors, newer professors joining in. And so it's great to see professors getting engaged with clients that we are actually able to find. Thank you. Next slide. So just to very briefly to talk about some of the projects that I worked on. So a variety of projects. So one that was last summer, it's called A2 Milk Company. So that's a company that makes $2 billion sales. So it's not a small business, $2 billion sales. This was a different ball game. It's a very different ball game getting a client that makes $100,000 versus getting a client that makes $2 billion. The client that makes $2 billion oftentimes are very skeptical, like I mentioned, of getting services from a university. Most of the time, they think they can only get this kind of services from Harvard and Yale and UCLA and USC and so forth. So they were very surprised that they didn't know Northridge even existed, and that we had such a thing as a center, and that we had such a thing as providing consulting services. So I was very excited to be able to break in their misconception and change the stigmatization that those CSU don't work with large organizations. So we work with them, we give them some advices, and if you actually go to the store, you find their milk pretty much everywhere. And some of their milk I've seen recently have sort of changed very much close to the suggestion that the students gave them last summer. Open Garden was a business which was a startup, and in fact, it was a startup from Professor Zappia and his colleagues, Richard Lee, which had to do with an application that was telling people where they were gardens that they could visit close to where they were. So all you have to do is to put a zip code, and then it will give you information on various markets that gardens, sorry, that you could visit, and the history of those gardens, so forth. So we help them with that, and we hope that this project will keep on going with Richard Lee now being the director of this. Another project that I did was for Andrew James. So this was with the Master of Business Administration, the inside the College of Art. And so we have CSUN elects the best musician of the year. And every year the music genre changes. Last year it was more like soul, and this year he's actually a rapper, Andrew James. So he won best musician, he got a scholarship, and automatically gets serviced by the master students having consulting for his art. And so we help Andrew James. We came up with multiple strategies and plans for the next 5 years on how to develop and become a successful music artist. And then the last one was for the Orange County Sustainability Decathlon, which is an American competition that looks at how to improve sustainability in the home development, looking at mobile homes that could be built under $100,000 and be used for minorities or be used for people with a certain income and so forth. And I worked with Professor Mukherjee from the College of Engineering. And this competition is actually still being, because I did the consulting part of the business consulting part, and Professor of Engineering Mukherjee is working on the production. So they're actually building the CSUN small house through like a mobile house, which will be displayed in the month of October 2023. There's only 19 universities that are going to the final, and CSUN is one of them. So we at CSUN and in the Nazarian College, we're doing very many different things. And so I want everyone to know this. There's no cookie cutter. Everything is custom. Everything is courtesy of the endorsement of Wells Fargo and the Nazarian College and CSUN. So if you know anyone that we could help in the future, please do not hesitate. I know there's quite a number of students here that are hearing us. And if you know any businesses, please just send me an email, and I'll be more than happy to direct this person to a faculty to get consulting services. It makes a huge difference to have a set of eyes, a new set of eyes looking at your business and coming up with maybe new ideas. And then the next slide. So we have many clients, and we don't take all the clients. Unfortunately, sometimes we have more clients than we can supply, but we are always working on future clients. Next slide. And so this slide is the slide that tells me that we're going to start moving into the 60 seconds. And so thank you, Teresa, for your help. We're going to go now in the order that was assigned. I did a random assignment last Friday. So it's going to be Cristina first. So if you don't mind, Cristina, putting your camera on. And so it's going to be Cristina, Carly, and then Teresa, and they will be speaking only for 60 seconds. So this is the elevator pitch. It's very quick. I'm also going to ask Priscilla, my assistant, if she's here.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Priscilla.
Hi.
Good to see you. Hi.
Good to see you too.
So thank you for being here. So Priscilla is going to help us with the vote. So she's managing the poll, because what happens is it's going to go pretty quick. Every one of those three people, so again, it's Cristina first, then Carly, then Teresa, are going to speak for 60 seconds as if you are an investor in the elevator with them, and they're trying to get a business card from you or your cell number or something like this for our next meeting, which the next meeting is going to be the 5 minutes. So we're going to pretend that this is the game, the way it happens. So you're going to look at their 60 seconds, and eventually you're going to vote for the best one, only one vote. So Cristina, are you ready?
Yes, I am ready. Do you see me here?
Yes, I do. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
So whenever you're ready to go, you go. It's your show.
Okay, so you're not going to say 3, 2, 1, huh?
I can say that if that helps.
Let's do it. Okay.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Cristina Leon. I would like your help in bringing the exquisite fruit that you see behind me to the world. It is a unique and exotic citrus variety called the Wang pomelo. It is a traditional and celebratory fruit, highly prized by the Chinese community. It is purchased as gifts and placed on the altar next to the Buddha for the Chinese New Year celebration. Rancho Soledad, our family-owned business, is the sole producer of the fruit in the United States. Our mission is to produce fruit of high quality, blemish-free, and of exquisite taste. I will share 50% of my profits over a 3-year period with a marketing consultant who opens new sales opportunities and specifically to local casinos. That 50% will reduce to 15% in subsequent years as long as the relationship between company and customer is maintained. I welcome your input and suggestions. Thank you for your attention.
Great job. Wow. Now we'll have Kali. Kali, are you good?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Hopefully you also don't hear all the roosters in my background.
Neat.
Can you give me a
Yes.
countdown?
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Aloha, my name is Carly Rose. I'm a farmer, an elementary school garden teacher, and a yoga instructor. I have a degree in political science, and I have certifications in agroecology and mental health first aid. I'm passionate about regenerative farming, rebuilding the soil, and the humans stewarding it. ESG, short for environmental, social, and governance, is the largest compliance which enforces best practices in the workplace. The higher the score, the better the ESG the company is deemed to have. The S of ESG addresses employee health and well-being. I have farmed 75-hour work weeks. I have watched the bodies and minds of farmers around me degrade rapidly. In Hawaii alone, 48% of farmers have experienced some degree of depression. So Rootcraft's purpose is to give large-scale agricultural operations simple and authentic methods to preserve the well-being of their employees, in turn raising their ESG score and increasing their profits. I project a revenue of $400,000 after 3 years, and I'm asking $100,000 for 20% equity in Rootcraft Consulting. Thank you for listening.
Excellent job. Great, Kali. Okay. Now we have Trelisa.
Yes, you do not need to count me in,
Okay.
Frank. You're just going to make me more nervous.
Okay, okay. That's good. That's good. That's good.
I'm good, though. I'm good. Okay, imagine that bite of food that excites all your senses, making you feel warm and fuzzy inside. I'm going to tell you herbs and spices is triggering that memory. Our mission at Saja Living is to grow and bring affordable, culturally appreciated herbs and spices straight to the kitchens of Black families and others. There are over 650,000 households in San Bernardino County and over 61,000 Black families. Access to herbs and spices that connect to Black culture is not just about where the story is, but also do they carry what we want and need. The current US market is a $35 billion industry dominated by mass-produced, often stale herbs and spices. Black families want food experiences that taste good and that speaks to the histories that have been shared and passed down. Frankly, we prefer quality herbs and spices that make meals into memories. My company is seeking $50,000 in investment to help establish our hydroponic infrastructure. In return, we're offering a revenue sharing agreement and the opportunity to be part of a thriving industry that's growing 3% annually. With your support, our company will help amplify the flavor in your family meals. Thank you.
Great.
Wow, great job. Well, a real pleasure teaching the students. They are just amazing. They so positive, amazing listeners. It's been a pleasure. So let's take a few minutes for everyone to vote. So Priscilla, maybe you can. Oh, excellent. You can guide us through this.
Yes, go ahead and take your votes.
Frank, do we vote too, or do?
Well,
should
you
we do
can, of
this
course.
one?
Yes, I think
Okay.
it's fair that you do. I have a guess on who you're going to vote, but that's okay.
I'm sorry to ask a naive question, but how do I vote? I don't know how to do that.
You can
Yeah,
only
I'm-
click.
I click on the name.
Yeah, just one name.
Oh, yeah, it's not allowing me to do any of them. Okay, it's just giving me a poll. Okay,
I think because you are all co-hosts. So maybe that's why they're not able to vote. Are Shalisa and Carly, are you able
Oh.
to vote?
Oh, so
No.
no,
I'm not
you-
able to vote.
you're not
Okay.
able to vote.
Mm-mm.
Okay,
You
so
have to abstain.
yeah. So you see the result already.
Uh,
So the co. Oh, maybe
do.
Danielle.
You
That's
do.
why, because you're co-host. So let me
Yeah.
remove you as a co-host. Okay.
Yes, please remove me. All right, okay.
Now you can.
Now I can vote. Yeah.
Well, this feature was not that way before. That's amazing. So the co-host can actually see the result. So it's very close. Woo. It's not that close that often. I tell you this.
Because you are too good professor.
Oh, but I don't know, but it's like super close.
it looks like 20% of your participants aren't voting.
Yeah.
Or
So
more.
Yeah, we still got about 24 people that need to vote.
Professor, can you resend it? I accidentally closed it.
You know what? I don't know. if I'm
oh no, so you
able
go
to-
at the bottom, it says
Me
polls.
too.
Just click on the button that says polls. If you don't see it, just click on it's next to share.
Found it. Thank you.
Excellent. Yes, please vote. This is great that you're participating. We need to hear your opinion. And so we will have the exact same thing afterwards for the 5 minutes. I know some of the competitors have invited friends and family, so I want to welcome their friends and family. I saw one name I recognized was Mr. Kolstadt, so welcome. It's great. So people from all over the US, it's amazing. And that's the reason why we did Zoom, is because we wanted everyone, since we have a competitor in Hawaii, Maui, exactly, and so forth. So this was the way to proceed. That's thanks to this new technology, we're able to have everybody join at the same time. Are we doing, Priscilla, was the numbers? Are we still missing some people?
We're missing 12 people. I'm going to let everyone know in the chat.
Okay. And so what I would like to do is also welcome Stephen Contreras, the Vice President of Wells Fargo. Are you here? I know he had different meetings during lunchtime, so I'm not sure if he's available at that time.
Hi, Professor. Yes.
Oh, yeah, there. Oh, perfect. Good to have you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming. I'm sorry I didn't know you before, so I'm glad to meet you today. That's
Likewise.
awesome. Thank you for taking the time during the lunchtime. I know you have a busy day, and also Argish is away, so you end up having to take your share plus his share at the moment.
Yeah, it's my honor. I do appreciate the invite.
So how long have you been at the Wells Fargo?
So I've been with Wells Fargo over 26 years.
Oh.
I'm a CSUN alum, and I've supported 11 branches in the northern part of the San Fernando Valley, includes all of the Northridge and Granada Hills area. And I have to say that this is very inspiring. Small business is a huge passion of mine, and really giving back to entrepreneurs, because as all of you are aware, all of the money that's invested in any small business, it goes right back to the local economy, jobs, betters, life, skill sets, whatever you're looking at. And that's something that we're really passionate about, and I'm really honored to represent Wells Fargo and acknowledge the partnership that we've had with CSUN. And it's very special near to my heart, being that I'm a former alum and I
for sure.
live a couple blocks away from CSUN, and me and my wife both graduated from CSUN. So it's definitely an honor, kind of bringing things full circle to hear these inspiring presentations today, and I'm really excited for all three of them.
Yes, you see, we very much enjoy this relationship with the bank. It's just amazing that we've had this going on for 20 years now. It started in 2022, so it's been a great relationship. The bank has been supporting CSUN in so many other ways. That when I took the directorship, I said, what can I do to increase this value by doing something that one day will be amazing? And so an investor pitch competition, I think, makes even more sense when you're supported by a bank, because that's what banks do. They manage money and they looking at investments, everyone's investments. So today it makes sense. But I have to tell you, even as a professor, sometimes you have to make entrepreneurial decision. And so this was an entrepreneurial decision that was not 100% well received, because nobody was doing investor pitch. So when you start doing something that nobody does, you always have people that are questioning it, that are quite skeptical. So I tell the students, entrepreneurship is not just starting businesses. Entrepreneurship is nourishing existing businesses. You could be an entrepreneur in a 100-year-old business, because you have to be entrepreneurial. And it's not just about business, it's about everything you do. I mean, even finding your spouse at CSUN, you have to be entrepreneurial. So entrepreneurship is so many things. Finding a job. So a lot of students are looking for a job. And this mindset is very, very important. So that's what we try to bring in the Wells Fargo Center for Small Business and Entrepreneurship. And we're delighted to do this. And we are relating to all the businesses. A lot of them are local to Northridge, obviously. But we help businesses that overseas. I've worked on overseas businesses. I know Professor Degravel has worked with overseas businesses. So we're doing this. So there's no cookie cutter, but every one of these business that we take care of, I can tell you that the name Wells Fargo is carried with quality, because we are very conscientious and very proud of the work, and very proud of our students. Our students are go-getters. They have a critical mindset. And so it's great. So you're right. It's full circle. It's wonderful to have you today. And anything else you want to add? Any interesting project you're working on right now?
Not necessarily. I mean, in my role, I support the branch banking network, and we obviously support all sizes of business owners. And I love the comment you made about how you define entrepreneurship, and it's not necessarily starting a new business. And I think one of the many lessons that a lot of small business owners learned really quickly during the pandemic is, having to pivot, having to find how to continue their business, whether they're still doing and providing the same service or product as they were pre-pandemic, or they've made a full 180 pivot and really finding that niche, and taking advantage of an opportunity that's in front of them, and then the bank providing the resources that we have to our small business community is something that we're really passionate about. And I'm just really excited to have, partners such as yourself, Professor, and all of those that are on your team that, really continue to support small business. I also sit on the board of the Valley Economic Alliance, and, their mission is very similar to really help those that really don't know where and how to access resources to help them, whether it's a startup business or a business that's a mature business that's looking, to pivot, to grow, to expand, or brands or a business that's experiencing some hardship and just needs that little push to get them over the hill and get them back to a healthy place. So I'm like I said, small business is in my blood. I'm not a small business owner myself, but I've seen a lot of successes. I started my career in San Fernando in the employment markets, looking at grassroots small business owners that were running businesses out of their garage, and how they've really matured into a full-fledged business, hiring employees, and really making that impact in the local economy. So hats off to you and to your entire team and to the program at CSUN. It's definitely very inspiring, and I just love to see small businesses grow within, not only within San Fernando Valley, but within at a larger scale as well.
Yeah, it's very important, and it's true. There was the pandemic, and this word became very popular, to pivot. And now I see another type of trend. It's the post-COVID, but it's the post-COVID with all the world turmoil and the change of order. It's another pivot that's happening right now. And I think because of the election coming next year in America, there's going to be some strange momentum for businesses and the consumers buying power starting to change and all this it's a challenge for businesses. And you're right, the word I spend a lot of time telling the students, so there's a number here, it's the word opportunity. To me, this word is so important. And so I tell them to be in love with the problem and not to be in love with the solution. So don't love the idea, don't love the solution, love the problem, because the problem is what's going to make you become better at solving the problem is what you need to focus on, not falling in love with the product that you think the world should adopt. That's too narcissistic. Don't be narcissistic. Focus on your customers. What they care is what is the most important. So thank you for taking the time to jump in today.
Absolutely. Thank you for the invite.
Thank you very much. So
we've got all the votes in.
We've got all the votes in. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for paying attention and having all the votes in. I mean, I've, like I said, this is the 16th year. I've never seen it like this. I almost need to get my glasses to see the result because it's so close. It's like insane.
It's very
In
close.
fact, it's beyond close because there's two people that have the exact same score.
Yes.
Wow, crazy. So in fact, Carly and Cristina got exactly the same score. The exact amount of points. So 28 and 28. And Trelisa is 26, which I mean, it's essentially the same. So which means, so you haven't had the experience I have had, which means that the 5 minutes is going to be what's going to separate everyone, just so you know. Because normally there's already a big separation here. And what I've seen in the past is sometimes the people that win the 60 seconds are not the one that win the 5 minutes, and they don't do as well in the 5 minutes. And then the whole thing pivot to some other result that you can't predict from the 60 seconds. But here, the 60 seconds doesn't predict anything. You all are exactly at the same level. And because of the making them co-author of the presentation, they can actually see these numbers, which normally I don't let them see because I don't want them to feel good or too bad. But now it happens that way, so they know. Nobody has any advance. So we're going to go back to the 5 minutes, and we're going to start again with Cristina. In that situation, Cristina, you can actually share your presentation.
All right, it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay, so let me go back to this to make sure that everybody is back in there.
Okay.
Cristina.
Do we have two Cassandra Kolstadts? Okay.
So Cristina, did you call yourself Cristina?
Yes. Hold on a second. Okay, hold on. Let me rename myself. Okay. Yeah, my screen. Okay.
Oh yes, now I see you. I couldn't see you before. Perfect. Okay. So you should be good to go now. Whenever, do you want a 3, 2, 1 or whatever?
No, not yet. Let me make sure that you can see what I'm
not yet. We can't see yet.
Okay, because
there's also is it you, Cristina, that has a sound in the background? Or?
No, it's not me.
Oh, okay.
Someone else has
yes,
their microphone
it's good
on.
now.
I muted it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Cristina, for your help. So,
No
Cristina,
problem.
you tell us.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, now you see your screen. It's looking good.
Okay. I won't have any transitions just because we were having trouble previously, and so we determined to do this as a PDF.
That's okay.
Okay.
I think it's a fine. Yes.
Okay. All right. So you can do 3, 2, 1 if you want.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
All right, my parents established Rancho Soledad in 1975 on a pristine piece of land that has a microclimate perfect for growing avocados and exotic fruits. My father, a professor at Cal Poly Pomona, taught plant pathology and botany. During World War II, he was stationed in the Pacific, and he became enamored with Asian culture and also East Asian fruit. He collected seeds and budwood, and those experiments inevitably resulted in the development of the Wong pomelo that you see behind me. After 30 years of teaching, I retired and took over management of the ranch. I immediately immersed myself in the latest citrus and avocado research. My goal has always been to be a well-informed farmer. I am determined to continue my family's legacy. As a hands-on farmer, I meet daily with my workers, my team. We've experienced good fortune here on Rancho Soledad, and we have been since 1988 irrigated solely by the water from an artesian well. Since 2020, the entire ranch is solar powered. With the popularity of our fruit, we've been looking at developing a brand name. On the right is a logo still in progress, and on the left is a design for a sticker to emphasize the exclusivity of each piece of fruit. Each will be individually labeled with a number, much like a limited edition. So who is our target market? What you see here are the states that are highly populated. That is the purple states, highly populated by Chinese American population. Also, if you would take a look, there are little white dots that are a major Chinatown in each of these states where Chinese Americans congregate. We know that Chinese Americans make up 5.5% of the, 5.5 million people, 25% of the total Asian population. So what does this mean for our fruit? Here are some of the important advantages that we have. They highly revere our majestic fruit. They are a population that spends significant money on fruit, and they are the wealthiest minority in the United States. What other advantages do we have? There are no other producers in the United States, and we have no competition. Having a pomelo in one's household during Chinese New Year represents abundance. It also represents the wish, may you have everything you need in the year to come: wealth, longevity, good fortune, profits in business. This fruit can weigh up to 6 pounds. And what you see here is what the Chinese community wants in its fruit. That is brilliant yellow that is complemented by the dark green leaf. Except this is the market reality in California. I'm limited by state restrictions to sell my fruit with leaf. What does this mean to my bottom line? It means I take a 50% hit in my price. Okay, so there are some challenges we face, and there are also some solutions that we are presently doing. We are looking to integrate Asian-inspired marketing, reaching Asian targets, and also increasing our customer base to pre-COVID customer base numbers. Here are some of the solutions that we are already beginning: developing a business website, marketing outside California, designing decorative gift boxes, targeting the frequented Asian websites, and also targeting local casinos. Here we're working on an Asian-inspired website with a focus on 2024 Year of the Dragon. It's vital to design a website that's easy to use and is visually appealing to our target market. We have contacted translators who will translate the website into Mandarin and Cantonese. Shopping carts necessitate easy use. We are seeking consultants in the Asian community to help us with this issue. Here is a concept for a gift box, decorative and sturdy enough to be sent and delivered safely in and out of state. In 2020, we acquired a produce distribution house. In 2022, it was a phenomenal harvest. We had a tremendous yield. And in order to sell the product after Lunar New Year, we sold the remainder at sale bargain prices. This year's harvest, however, was smaller than last year's. Citrus has a tendency to alternate bearing. However, we also found that inflation had a tremendous impact on our sales. Buyers were less willing to settle, or buyers were unwilling to settle for a less attractive product than what they could buy pre-COVID, that is, fruit with leaf. Because of the sizable Asian and specifically Chinese community that frequents the casinos, we looked to establishing a profitable relationship. The casinos you see in the chart are local, transportation costs are minimal, and we can deliver in a moment's notice. Based on my consultations with CSUN's business department, we created these forecasts. Capital uses are comprised of two areas: production investments. We look and plan to expand our pomelo plantings to additional blocks of land and install an overhead watering system to combat the high heat temperatures. Commercial investments will concentrate on website development, creation of gift boxes, and targeting Asian markets. Finally, I have a niche product with which we have only scratched the surface of its potential. We seek new avenues for marketing, both in and outside California. Thank you very much for listening today. Now, are there any questions?
Anyone has a question for Cristina?
Someone has to have a question.
We may do that at the end for,
Okay, that's
people
fine. That's
yeah.
fine.
Or you can put your question in the chat.
Okay.
So yes, in case you have a question, put it in the chat. I will move to Carly's presentation, and I will look at the question, and we can do Q&A through the chat or at the end. Carly, I don't see you yet. Oh yes, you're right here.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm going to stop Christina's sharing. Thank you so much, Cristina.
Yes,
You're welcome, Carly. I look forward to your screen. Let's see.
Okay, can people see that?
Yes,
Right.
it's looking good.
All right. Once again, my name is Carly Rose, and this is my company, Rootcraft Consulting. This is a brief agenda of what we're going to be going over in today's presentation. Once again, we're going to start with ESG, environmental, social, and governance. ESG measures corporate compliance with a code of ethics that supports the well-being of our society and our planet. So 80% of the world's largest companies are reporting exposure to physical or market transition risks associated with climate change. And the graph in the bottom left shows a recent study done by Harvard that projects that people investing in companies with high ESG ratings will double from 4.5 trillion in 2021 to 10.5 trillion in 2026. And just to give you all an idea of how big ESG is already, over 90% of S&P 500 companies publish end of the year ESG reports. So the social category in ESG relates to labor management, and even though it's often the most neglected of the three categories, 88% of customers will be more loyal to a company that supports environmental or social issues. So how does this relate to the agricultural world? Agriculture employs more than 22 million people in the United States, making it the country's largest employer. And the agricultural industry provides a livelihood for around 40% of the world's population. Agriculture, food, and related industries contributed roughly $1.264 trillion to the US gross domestic product in 2021. And the agricultural industry is the single largest consumer of our limited freshwater resources at around 70%. So on the left, this is some research and some papers that I've written about the S in agriculture. And on the right is a picture of me working alongside some H-2A workers that came from Mexico that truly taught me the meaning of working hard in agriculture. These boys worked oftentimes 75 to 90-hour work weeks. They were in the fields at night with headlamps on. I frequently saw them working through injuries. They worked without any overtime. They worked in the United States for 9 months out of the year without seeing their family. And they also didn't speak the language. So accessing resources was incredibly difficult for them, even going to a grocery store or being able to access healthcare. So I truly believe that farmers' bodies matter. So let's nourish the people who feed us. This is a brief introduction on me, and I have been teaching yoga to farmers for around 2 years now. This is a slide with some of my accreditations, and on the left is an organization that I'm part of through the University of Hawaii. We recently hosted an event in East Maui with a group of farmers where we talked story, we shared seeds, and we came up with some new approaches on how to use self-care in farming with the community. This is my company, Rootcraft. And the way that Rootcraft works is we look at a company, and I'll use Dole based in Oahu for an example, a company that is looking to increase the sustainability that they practice in their workspace. The first phase would be the awareness phase. So we would go into the company, we would talk to their employees, we would figure out what practices they already have in place. And then the design phase would be developing a customized plan of how we can approach improving the way that they take care of their employees. Next is the implementation phase, and this is the action plan, where we begin actually doing mental health coaching with their workers. We have yoga classes, meditation, whatever it is that their workers feel like they need to thrive in that workspace. Fantastic. And then the flow phase, monitoring and continuing to augment that social category and increasing their ESG score. This is our rubric for how we rate companies that we're working with in their social alignment index, and these are the categories that we're scoring companies on. And this is a list of specific examples of what you can do as a company with Rootcraft to be able to improve your score. One example, over the course of a year, 2/3 of your employees must take a body wellness session. And this slide is talking about the future of Rootcraft. So the serviceable obtainable market, we estimate an average of 20 clients in Hawaii, including Dole that we mentioned before, and companies like Mahi Pono that own about 40,000 acres in the Central Valley of Maui, and Tropical Fresh Plantation. And the serviceable addressable market would be ESG influenced farming businesses within the USA. And then the total addressable market would be ESG influenced food system businesses in the United States. So the next steps, year 1 for Rootcraft, building the website, traveling and educating the community on services, beginning to interact with ESG scoring companies about the rubric and the certification, and then gaining first clients on Maui. Year 2, the goal is to have at least 7 large-scale agricultural clients, building up the certification trademark, and beginning to hire outside to offer different modalities based on the demographic of our clients. Year 3, the goal is to have at least 20 clients within the islands to broaden the scope of the modalities further, and to have that trademark backed by several ESG scoring companies. So the investment proposal is $100,000 with 20% equity and a return in 5 years. If anybody has any questions that they want to email me about after the presentation, here's my contact info. And a special thank you to Frank and Nick for the photos. And I think we're doing questions at the end. So
yes, we'll do. There's already one, and we'll ask that one question to everyone at the same time. But
okay.
Unless there's specific questions for Carly at this time, or we'll keep it at the end. We'll keep all the questions at the end so people have time to review that. Let's move. Good job. Very good job, Carly. Let's move to Trelisa as the last presentation.
Pulling up the rear, pulling up the rear. Good job, Carly.
Yes, very good.
Thank you.
Move some things out.
So you can also start when you want.
Okay, and my screen is showing, of course, right?
Yes, it's showing very good right now.
Okay. All right, well, thank you for this opportunity to present my new business venture, Saja Living Herbs and Spices. I am Trelisa Glazatoff, owner of Saja Living, and I love food. I love food because it affects me physically. It makes me want to actually walk and go home to go get it. It affects me mentally because it brings up happy memories, and it even affects me spiritually, allowing me to express gratitude and comfort in this meal. I started this business because I wanted to reconnect with my family's use of food as a way of transmitting stories, ways of being, and joy. So if you're like me, you have a favorite meal that's going to make you pause after you take the first bite so you can fully concentrate on what you're eating. You want to smell it so it can send you back to that happy place, and the burst of flavors that come through brings a smile to your face and a to your lips. Now, we know there's a lot of things that need to happen to get you to that moment of joy, right? The ingredients, particularly the herbs and spices, can be used on something like chicken and transport you to a different part of the world and into a rich cultural experience. Like using ginger for a sticky chicken in parts of Asia, or basil for stewed chicken from northern parts of Africa, to peppers for jerk chicken from the Caribbean. Flavorful, quality herbs and spices are central elements to the food experience. But if you walk down your market aisle in your local town, you're going to find products that you don't know where they came from, how they were grown, and how long they've been sitting on the shelf. At the market, there's a lack of diversity of herbs and spices that connect families to their food heritage. In 2019, 40% of the US population lived more than a mile from the food store. Most racial and ethnic minorities live closer to the food stores than white individuals, which mirrored the composition of the neighborhood, either urban or rural. But when we think about choice, we know that access is part of it, right? Where's the store? How much is the food? But there's also this acceptability element that plays a part in choice. Acceptability has to do with preference, culture, mood, and your health status. And this is important because a lot of folks talk about outcomes related to choice and circumstances. We need to acknowledge that both of these factors, acceptability and accessibility, affects our diets, our health, and our food security. So Saja Living is aiming to bridge this gap of access and accessibility by offering a unique selection of herbs and spices grown ethically and sustainably to reconnect Black families with their rich culinary heritage and to support the community. We're going to stand out in the industry because our product lines are going to be tailored to the cultural preferences of Black families. This is important because the business is about raising the cultural capital of the Black family's food experience, whether it's the family who prefers quality herbs, or the chef that's inspired by the African-American experience, or using herbs and spices for our wellness, or even contributing to the supply chain with high quality, sustainable products. This market is a $35 billion market in the US and is expected to grow 3% over the next 10 years. The demand for diverse and authentic food experiences is growing, along with the awareness of the health benefits of herbs and spices. The direct sales channel holds the most significant share of the global market at 63%. The California market is $4 billion. So Saja's Living serviceable market at a target of just 1% of the Black population in San Bernardino County will account for over $200,000 a year. We want to position ourselves to tap into the underserved niche of cultural herbs and spices by using both traditional and innovative growing strategies of small land farming and hydroponics, which will allow the company to scale production and to extend its growing season. We also are going to partner with suppliers and producers to bring our product to the market sooner and to start building our brand. This business is a movement of using foodways as a central element in how Black folks reconnect and strengthen all that binds us to our families and to each other. It's about good herbs and spices, it's about good eating, and it's about good times. So we are seeking to partner with others who understand the importance of the abundance of cultural capital. Now, with our hydroponic farm, Saja Living projects earnings before depreciation, tax, and interest of about $13,000 in the startup years. Our profit margin is expected to increase steadily as we optimize our operations and expand our market size share in San Bernardino County areas. We're going to generate revenue through direct sales of small batch, fresh and dried herbs and spices through e-commerce and a mobile farm truck, as well as selling bulk fresh herbs for wholesalers and spice processors. With that revenue growth from direct and the wholesale market, this will enable the company to break even in year 5. So we are seeking $50,000 to support the start and scaling of Saja Living and achieve those ambitious goals. The funds will be allocated towards purchasing hydroponic infrastructure, increasing production capacity, and launching targeted marketing campaigns. In return, we're offering a revenue sharing agreement with over 25% profit and the opportunity to be part of a thriving industry. We're also open to equity returns for the right investor aligned to our mission. So, Saja Living presents a unique opportunity for investors to support a profitable, high-growth venture that's committed to community growth and cultural empowerment. By investing with us, you are not only contributing to the success of a pioneering brand, but also affirming more vibrant families and communities that cherish their rich culinary traditions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Teresa. Great job presenting. Very good. Could you put my slide, the last one that talks about the Clydesdale, since you still have the sharing? And I would like to say, before we vote, I would like to announce the winner of the Clydesdale. But before I do this, I would like to talk about a few things. One is, you know, students, I deal with a lot of students. Oftentimes they ask me, how can I get successful? Well, you can get successful by doing more than by talking. So I was looking at you presenting, and I'm so proud of you, you know, the tremendous work that you put in this. You didn't have to do it, but you did it because you invest in yourself. And so people oftentimes ask me, how can I get better? How can I succeed? Invest in yourself, take advantage of situation. Right. So I was thinking of these 2 students that came to me and one time and say, oh, we want to participate to the Wells Fargo. Yes, but it's a lot of work. No, we want to do it. And they participated. And that year was interesting. Maybe I need to do this again. But there were 2 people. There were groups of 2. So the teams were made of 2 people presenting instead of 1. And they actually won. And those two people who presented, and that was maybe 12 years ago, now are actually both professors at CSUN, those two students. And so how did they become professors? They became professors because they put themselves into situations which are not comfortable. You don't learn by keeping doing the same thing. You only learn by putting yourself into uncomfortable situations. So I don't want to say big secrets, but I know that the first, your first draft presentation was far and away from the one that you just did today. And I'm the one that can say, oh my God, what a tremendous change. And I'm so proud of you because you have done a tremendous change and you've learned so much. And I know that, I don't know if you're going to become professor at CSUN, that's not always the direction for everything, but you will accomplish amazing, great things because you push yourself beyond a comfortable zone, and that's extremely important. If you staying in comfortable zone is not what gets you to learn. So that's my little segue to this very unique situation this year with Professor Sean Maziar Keyani, because when was that? 12, 13 years ago, I was teaching a project, a client project, and eventually I met a college of engineering professor, and he asked me, "Oh, could we work together with my engineering students?" And I said, "Okay, maybe I could involve some of my students with the engineering students." But he said, "But my engineering students don't know much about business, and I'm an engineering professor. Could you allocate 2 classes where your students will come in my class, sitting next to my engineering students, and teach your business students while my engineering students hear the teaching?" So that's what I did. And there was a person sitting, which was Sean Keyani. He was sitting there as an engineering student. And he came at the end of the class and he told me, "Oh, I had no idea. I like engineering, but I also like marketing and business and all this. And I'm discovering this, listening to you, that maybe I should get more involved in this." And at the end of this class, he came and he asked me, "How can I become a business professor, a marketing professor?" I said, "Well, I don't know. Maybe you need to get a business degree. Maybe," I don't remember what I told him exactly. But what happened is a few weeks, months after, I heard about an assistant job to assist me, sort of like Priscilla is assisting me today. And so he came to assist me as a assistant professor, to assist me with looking at the papers and reviewing the papers and blah blah blah. And next thing you know, then he became an adjunct, and eventually this year I did the Clydesdale, which is looking at the professor in the College of Business. So we have more than 300 of them, who's actually teaching the largest amount of students. And the winner of the Clydesdale in the Nazarian College of Business is actually Sean Keyani, who was my student, like I said, a few years ago. But that's what I'm trying to say, is that you doing something beyond the call of duty, and that's how you get to learn, and that's how you get to be uncomfortable, and that's how you become someone that eventually you are able to do things that other people are saying, "What should I do to become successful?" But what you have to do is you have to do like Teresa, Carly, Cristina, Sean, Priscilla, all of these people get into uncomfortable areas, and then within a short time, I mean, we're talking just about a bit more than 10 years, you win the professor that teaches the most students at the Nazarian. So Sean, are you still here?
Yes, I'm here.
Do you have something you want to say to inspire the students that are listening? And congratulations.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
Thank you. I would like to say thank you to you and everyone else in this meeting. I appreciate the award. And also I would like to say that I'm honored to be a part of this college, Department of Marketing. It's been a blast. And I really mean it. It's been fantastic. It was 14 years ago that I was working with you. Yeah, 14 years ago. So yes, to expand on what you said, yeah, challenging yourself is the way to go. So whenever you feel uncomfortable with your learning, that's where you should push yourself and learn and do more. I think that's the key. Because if you back off because simply something is not very comfortable, that's where opportunities are going to disappear. So that's all I have. And thank you so much again. Thank you.
Thank you for going through, and we're delighted to have you as a professor. I've enjoyed going in your classes as well, and it's been always a pleasure to interact with you. You are an amazing assistant and an amazing professor. It's just great. It's very, very good. And I just want to tell everyone that it's not because I'm a marketing professor and it's rigged that it's another marketing professor that won. It's just the numbers. We actually collected the numbers from every department, and there's nothing is rigged. It's it's just a coincidence. And it's a great coincidence. It's nature turned out to be that way. So thank you again. Do you have your mug? Do you like your mug?
Yes, I have it. It's right on my desk. Yes, right here. And thank you for that. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Wonderful. Thank you. Excellent.
Thanks again.
You're welcome. Now, let's go to voting. Priscilla, can you help us back to voting? Are we good to, we just press on the polls? What should we do?
Yes, I'm going to launch it right now,
Okay.
and everyone can go ahead and start voting.
All right. Whoa, at the beginning, it's kind of crazy. You see the numbers fly and it goes all
Yeah.
over the place.
Frank, do we
Yes.
we participants get a mug?
I like that. We need a bug. We need a
It
bug.
doesn't have to have our name on it, but yeah, it would be nice to have a mug just to remember this
It's true.
experience.
Okay, well, I take new ideas and I will definitely implement this. Maybe we should take the few minutes left to answer these questions. There was James, could you actually come forward and ask your questions? Thank you, James, for your trust in letting me work with your students, because that's really very much what happened at the beginning. Is you
Yeah,
were nice
absolutely.
enough to trust me and say, okay, let's see if we can help the students. So how we can work this out? That's been really, really good. Thank you for your trust.
Yeah, I guess first of all, I just want to say thank you to all the work that everybody's done to make this happen. I also want to shout out Dene Drummer. She was one of our lead mentors for all of
Yes.
the business planning fellows in applied ecology with MESA. And so, yeah, just my question was really about what was, I think some of you answered the question in the chat, but what was the most challenging part for you to overcome in this preparation for the pitch process?
Oh,
So
okay.
yes, go ahead, Christina. Maybe you want to answer. What was the most challenging part to prepare for this presentation?
I think the most challenging part was cutting it down and just rehearsing so that you got it to 60 seconds or just below.
Yes.
At least, yeah. I found that the 60-second pitch was probably in some ways much easier than the rest of the presentation.
Yes. And maybe in your situation, I would say, constantly focusing on your need being the business sales need and focusing on this versus elaborating on the production and agricultural piece, which is maybe something that you know very well, but the audience, the investor audience doesn't need to hear as much, right?
Right.
And you have to constantly hold yourself and focus on the sales. Yeah. What about you, Carly? What was the thing that was the most difficult, your biggest challenge in this?
In all honesty, I think not talking to you all about how much I love farming the entire time and trying to work some numbers and business that would appeal to everybody and not just people that are nutty about agriculture.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, every time I looked at your presentation and I said, oh my God, there's not enough numbers. You need more numbers. Yeah, I kept saying that. That's true. But now I saw a lot of numbers. That's much better. That's you're getting there. You're pushing. Yes, because when you talk to investors, they need those numbers. They need your projection. They need all of this. So that's very important. What about you, Teresa? I know you responded in the chat, but can you tell us?
I did. And it was part of just like staying true to my why. But I would say that, Professor, you challenged me a little bit in that area too. I think we went several weeks just kind of, I was talking one thing, but it was showing up a different way. And so really being able to articulate and name it helped to then frame the rest of what I hope to contribute to my community. So
Right.
yeah, I joke with Professor all the time. Like every time I met with him, he had like homework. I'm like, dude, I gotta go back and like check some things, check and balances. But it was all to the good, to the end good. So I do appreciate that.
Yes, that's well, that's why I enjoy working with you trees, because you were very positive, and you it's almost like we knew each other, so you knew I had good intention, but you just knew that I was going to ask you to do more, but you just wondered where and what, and and I know, for example, with Cristina, there was a lot of time I asked her, you need to design things, design the packaging, design the website, and then Cristina was telling me, what, you no way. So eventually I gave her a hand for the design, and I said, don't worry, let me help you with design, let me help you with this. So it was a really good collaboration. I enjoyed it very much. The numbers are still moving. What's going on, Priscilla?
We're everyone's voted, it looks like.
Oh, everyone's voted?
Yeah, we got 2 that they almost tied, but missed by 1 vote.
Wow, 1 vote. I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if you want me to share the results or if I should.
Well, how many people
You're
are
on
missing?
there.
So I guess it's,
yeah, for the host, yeah, you guys can see because you're a co-host, but I don't think the participants can.
So I see it's just 150. So we'll announce it at 150. Let's do this and just take a few minutes, but it's very close. There's 1 vote differences at this minute. And so thank you everyone for coming today. Thank you for taking your time. Thank you for the students joining us, for the faculty also who joined us, for the speakers who came forward and spoke, for everyone who had trust in this experience that we could share. Thank you for Dean Chandra for coming. I'm not sure if he's still here. Thank you for your support at the Nazarian College.
I'm here, Frank. I've been listening the whole time. Thank you. Wonderful job, by the way.
Thank you very much. Yes, it's very exciting. So you don't know the numbers, but they are crazy close. This year. It's amazing. So it's 150. So Teresa, go ahead. Let us know. Who's first? Oh, who's third? Maybe you do this.
You want me to let everyone know?
No. So no, sorry. Priscilla. Priscilla.
Okay, so in 3rd place we have Cristina. In 2nd place, just missing by 1 vote, is Carly, and then in 1st place we have Teresa.
Wow, very close. 1 vote. Congratulations, everyone.
Congratulations.
And so this year we again, thanks to Wells Fargo and the Wells Fargo Center funds and the support of the university, we will be able to share some money with you. So all of you will get a check, which is going to come at it's administration, so it may be 1 or 2 months to come, but eventually in your mail you will get a little check for your work. Thank you again for trusting me, because I was on your back for quite a while. We are meeting several times a week this past few weeks. Right. So great students, stay in touch if you need more help. If you know anyone that needs help with the business, send me anyone, and we'll do our best to help anyone. That's what we all love, and we love to hear about your farming future and so forth. Best of luck, everyone. Anyone wants to add a last word before we separate?
Yes, but you said everyone gets a check. That's what you said.
Yes. So the 3 participants get.
Oh no, not us. Just the participant.
No. You and I, we keep working.
Okay. Okay.
But it's good. It's good. We're doing a great job, and this is very satisfying work to be able to get the students to make such a big progress and to participate in this. And it's all positive. So thank you everyone for coming today. And I hope to see you all soon. And we just 1:52, so it's past the time. So I want to respect everybody's dedication to the schedule. So thank you very much, everyone. And I'll see you all around, and have a great summer if I don't see you again.
See you next year.
See you next year.
Yeah, see you next year. We'll do it again, and I'll invite everyone. And you know that it's very exciting. It's very difficult. It's a great assignment, and it takes brave people to want to be able to do that. So thank you again to Teresa, Carly, and Cristina for going through the motion, and congratulations, Sean, for winning the Clydesdale. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
for watching, and thank you, Teresa. Nice work.
Great work, everyone.
Great.
Can't
Yes,
wait to
Teresa,
see
it was,
everyone's
yeah, it was
progress.
wonderful.
Congratulations, Teresa, for winning
Woohoo!
the 2023 Wells Fargo Center
Wonderful.
Investor Pitch. So great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Priscilla, for your help supporting and support with this.
Of course,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you to all
Thank
the
you.
ladies. It was very inspiring presentations. It's great to see your guys' journey along the way too. So thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
great day.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.